All right, we have more in-depth coverage of the New Hampshire primary. So much to talk about from New Hampshire last night. And joining us now is Eyewitness News political analyst Joe Fleming to give us his take on where things stand. All right, so a lot of the press this morning focused on the Republicans. But before we get to that, let's talk about the Democrats last night.
Sure.
We were expecting Bernie Sanders to win, but not by that much.
No, not at all. Bernie Sanders won by 22% last night. People were thinking of Hillary Clinton could get down 10% and lose. It would be a victory for her. But he won by 22%. He won huge among young voters. He won huge among independent voters. And here's a very important fact. He won among women yesterday. So Bernie Sanders did more than just being the neighbor of New Hampshire to win. He really crushed Hillary Clinton yesterday.
I mean, this was a state that loved Hillary Clinton several years ago. She won in New Hampshire. So what happened this time around with her and her campaign in New Hampshire?
I think what happened is Democrats are tired of the establishment. They want someone who's going to shake things up. And Bernie Sanders was that person. He made a strong case that he'll be a Democratic candidate for president that could shake up the country. And I think the voters responded to that, especially young voters. Remember, a lot of these young voters were not around when Bill Clinton was president.
That is true. All right, so unlike Iowa, where the polls were not quite correct in predicting the winner, this time around, as far as the Republicans were concerned, we were expecting a Donald Trump win as well. But the problem now is there's a muddy middle going on here with several of these other candidates.
And that is great news for Donald Trump. He won bigger than expected yesterday, better than 2-1 over the second place finisher. But there was no clear establishment candidate that came out of yesterday's primary. John Kasich finished second, which was good for Donald Trump. Rubio dropped down to fifth, I think, because of his debate. And I think if Rubio didn't have the debate problem, he could have possibly come out of it. George Bush just hung on. Chris Christie, I think, really has to reevaluate his campaign. He put all his eggs in the basket in New Hampshire, did not do well. But this middle ground, where there's a lot of candidates, is great news for Donald Trump heading into South Carolina.
You know, you look at some of the exit polls where they were interviewing people about what were the issues that mattered or the characteristics of the candidate that mattered. Where did Donald Trump play well in New Hampshire?
Well, Donald Trump plays well with the anger. People are angry, again, just like the Democrats. They want to see change. And they believe Donald Trump is not a regular politician. He's somebody who's different, who's going to say what he wants to say. And voters are responding to that at this point. The question is, will a majority of them respond when the field gets down to 2 or 3 candidates? All
right, quickly, we're going to circle back around to the Democrats as we move on to the next states, Nevada, South Carolina. We are predicting Hillary Clinton to do well in South Carolina, but what do you think the Sanders bump will do for him as far as closing the gap there?
Well, again, the bump is going to help him raise a lot more money. He already has more money than Hillary Clinton. This is going to help him even more, which means he can do a lot more advertising, build up a bigger ground game. Nevada is caucuses, and again, that's momentum. He has momentum going into Nevada for the Democrats. So that's the first thing we have to look at. Can Clinton hold on to Nevada? And then she has a big lead in South Carolina, but can he close that gap?
All right, with so many candidates in the race, we could literally spend a half hour talking about all of this. It's going to be an exciting campaign season. Joe, thank you so much. And if you want to find this interview online, you can check out our website later this morning.